Hi, uh, just gonna make a quick little video here, sort of a different format. Gonna be short, I promise. Okay, I'm just gonna read this comment um, that I just wrote on a YouTube channel and because I just feel like it's a shame to just leave it as a YouTube comment, right? A lot of times I write these long, thoughtful comments, and I wish that I could have a platform to share it with people and discuss it with people, or at least just do it myself. So um, here we go. So it's about belief, and a guy I've been following to some degree for quite a few years since the early days of my awakening as an adult, Eric Dubay, and he's having a conversation with somebody. And, I know he has a pretty firm stance about belief. He's not fond of it, and that's fine. So I just wrote here that I think here's a definition of belief which fits most my personal usage of the word belief. And I will say that this little definition was found on the merriam-webster.com dictionary website. I checked both dictionary.com and Merriam-Webster, and I looked at all the definitions listed. And there's various ones that I find, anyways. But this specific one fits most my personal usage, and which I think is the most accurate essence of the word's meaning. Um, so yeah, I can't be short-winded on things. I really can't. I can get into a whole subject about how people, because this stuff, everything is related. It's hard to just, I don't make sensational content to just try to grab your attention. So, the definitions of words are actually, in many ways flexible in their usage in society and in your certain dialect and your language, whatever. Um, but I think ultimately, words, language is actually it's a power, and you're speaking power, and I think that they have a true spiritual kind of root, a frequency, the sound, om, whatever the sound is. Um, and I'm not saying it's just concrete, but I think ultimately that's true. And so something like belief is a pretty strong concept. It's a pretty large concept, I think, for most people. I think for all humanity, whether you think you believe or not, I think everyone does, because I think it's a very core part of what we are and do as human beings. And, I think for many words, most words, I think many people, you know, the usage is often very watered down or diluted or whatnot, because many times the usage is kind of like how it's used to you, what you're used to. Maybe within your family, you heard certain words being used in certain contexts, and maybe for the rest of your life, you might identify those words with those essences, those meanings. And whether they're the most accurate essence of the word or not is probably okay, because many words have a varied context of that definition. Some are quite specific, and some have a more varied context. So, I'm just trying to describe how the nature of argumentation and debate and discussion and trying to discuss and have, understanding and share it between people. That's one of the reasons it's difficult and complicated, because words don't just have these clear-cut definitions. Many of them don't. Some of them do. And if you really want to get into it, you could probably say like none of them really do, especially English being like a manufactured whatever kind of hanky-janky language. It's diluted and it's watered down. But when you go back, as far as I understand, to some of the more ancient languages, their words, I think, are they contain the essence more of their meaning. And so with that all in mind, I don't know, maybe if that makes you think, that's good. Um, so that's why, I think, oh, I can't be short-winded. I just can't. Okay. I'm just going to read this, and if I have more to say after, I'll say it, but I'll try to get through it. Forgive me. I don't, I think, I like to say, it's in the Bible that God is not given to vain repetition, and I think I'm not given to just vainly babbling. I'm long-winded for a reason, so hope that you find that there is reason in it. So, belief, conviction of the truth of some statement or the reality of some being or phenomenon, especially based on examination of evidence. Now, that fits to me personally, my personal usage of it. Uh, I could probably give an even slightly better definition for me personally, as I describe more, but from what that was listed, that one speaks easily the clearest, and I think that that's an exceptional one, and I think that there's no problem. I don't see a problem with this definition, and I think so. I'll read what I say because I cover some of this stuff here. So I just said I see no problem with this at all. It makes perfect sense to me. The criticisms of believing, I think, are inaccurately based on an idea that belief is blind. I may go as far myself to say that blind belief is not belief, but something else entirely. Though I see here in the comment that there seems to be some overlap there among the definitions. Like I was saying, there is nuance to the definition. I would have to comb over the definitions to see at least the ones listed, and that's not even the culmination of a word itself, right? Just because these websites are called dictionaries, they're not the authority on a word's meaning. Because what is, right? That's a whole subject there, is what gives a word meaning and all that. It's interesting. I find it's a fascinating subject. Um, so people obviously, obvious to me, hopefully I'm not wrong, they primarily dislike belief as they relate it to religious persons, which they see as dogmatic, ignorant, ill-informed, or lazy in critical thinking, etc. I also think that this is a misnomer, as I think it falsely presumes that the given religion is inaccurate, but which they are unable to falsify due to historical nature of the supposed events and the great scope of the topics of the religion. Usually spiritual nature. Um, Ultimately, I see this view on belief as a way to ridicule others, or at least as a self-outing that one lacks understanding and ponderment upon a given subject or belief, and in the worst case scenario, that the one ridiculing it is arrogant and believes they simply know better than the ones who believe. I think what it really means is that you're angry about them and their position. To me, that shows that there's something wrong about maybe where you're coming from. Or perhaps it is just a lashing out in frustration and exasperation concerning the given belief or people who hold it. Like, maybe it's kind of like an immaturity where you're frustrated. How can you believe that? You must be ignorant. Like, you're just frustrated. So this may be a combination of those things. Or maybe I'm completely wrong and they're completely right. But I don't think so. So let's see. In any case, I think belief is ultimately built on personal experience and evidence. I liken it, I usually make a distinction personally with conviction being, you know, that's something that you believe in, like truly, more truly, because then you're going to have that conviction to act on it, to live it out, to do it, right? Which proves that you have that belief, which is what I think, as I said before, whether or not you have that belief, well, do you act it out? Do you live it? And you could have a lot of conversation about that because people make mistakes and people get into situations where they act against their own nature or their own best interests. They harm themselves, they harm others for various reasons, and I don't think that just negates what they believe. But I do think that's and for these reasons it can be very complicated to know someone's true beliefs sometimes, or I think more so just your own belief, right? It's the cause, I think, more so of self doubt. um, yeah, which I think I suffer from. But okay, anything else to say on that? I guess I'll just leave it right there. Belief, it's not so bad. Don't let them ridicule you for believing in something. You build up your belief through evidence and experience, you know, and I think that's totally fair. That's totally fair and fine, guys. It's not blind. I would like to take some time to look at, well, what's the blind belief? What is that? I think that's more like a social construct, social concept, where people just kind of go along with the crowd, the bystander effects, or whatever, these different areas where people, it's not really about belief at that point. It's more about just getting along, being happy, ignorance, just ignoring it. You push it aside, or you claim it as part of the group dynamics. I think that those things would probably more accurately explain blind belief, and that belief itself is not the culprit. So, okay, Eric. Yes, this is kind of a response to you, unofficially. I hope you don't. If you by chance see this, or read my comment, you probably will read the comment. I hope you don't take it, personally. Don't be offended. You can see I just ponder things. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're totally right. I just say what I think. Try to flesh it out as much as possible. But I stand on what I think about that subject, and I admit, and of course, you know, I shouldn't have to say these disclaimers all the time. It's fine. Is that we all make mistakes, and everyone does things wrong, and so whether you're wrong about it or not, or it's I'm here to help, you're here to help, and that's it. So that's the point of discussion. Just like I said earlier about definitions and their sort of fluidity and some of this stuff, and how people, they get tripped up on these things. Well, so is like offense, people getting offended, or people in these arguments, or people calling out your fallacious arguments. I think that those things are more, personally, I think that, I don't know if I'd say it for sure, but I feel like they're more problematic in coming to conclusions and resolutions and edification of one another. Uh, that those are just for, that's like a sport. Debate is a sport. It's a, kind of, it's like a sport to defeat your opponent. But when you're talking with somebody to share information and deeper level, share understanding and insight, it's not a competition. It's not it's not a sport. We're not trying to defeat each other. And if you are trying to defeat each other, then you're already missing the point, and you've already kind of lost the plot. And of course, I do that sometimes, given all the context, whatever. So, okay. God bless you. Love you. Take care. And all right, I'm gonna upload this. Have a good day.